Last time I had you look at this video instruction, I had you panning and zooming pictures and putting transitions in and adding music. This time I'm going to show you how to do it a little differently with keyframes. We're going to see if I've already prepared a little of this. There's some stills, I've put motion in them already. So I'm going to click on this first still and I'm going to slide over here to keyframe. And then I'll click on keyframe. Now I want clip attributes. And then we're going to go over to slide bar and slide down, and what we're looking for is opacity. And it'll be a slide bar. It says 100 right now. But I want to put a keyframe in there. So what I'll do is just simply slide it one way or the other and then back to 100. And that gives you a keyframe. And you can see it there in yellow. And then I'll move over here a little ways. Well, actually what I wanted to do with that keyframe is make it 0. So it's dark. Now I'm going to move over a little ways, and I'm going to move it up to 100. And then I'm going to move back over here. And I'll slide it back and forth again. It gives me 100. And then I'm going to move it over here to the end, and I'm going to give it 0. So you start out, you've got dark, that's 0. And then on this keyframe, when it gets here, you go to 100%. This keyframe, you go to 100%, and then it fades out to black. So if we were going to show you that, it'll look like this. It's black starting, and then you zoom in, and then black. And that's a little fast for me. So what I want to do is go back to keyframes again, and then I'll slide this down, and then you'll notice that the keyframes come up. To change it is just simply click on it and move it. Want a little more time for it to fade. So we're going to go back to the beginning again. See, it takes a little longer this time for it to fade in and fade out. Now, the reason you do this, because most of the transitions just overlap each photo, and then you have overlapping photos as it goes from one to the other. Sometimes you want it that way. A good example to do by keyframe is if you have a lively piece of music and you like to time the pictures to the beat of the music, you may want to start them out at 100% and have them fade away, like this one here. Sometimes that takes a little while to do, but that's one way you can make it fade off and then instantly have the other one done. Or you could just have it switch from one photo to the other without doing a keyframe at all. But if you want it to fade off like that, that was one way of doing. That's a reason to do it. Also, if you want to put in a title, we're going to window all this. Excuse me. I just want I just want one of these here. I'll move this down. We're going to make this one a little longer. I'll just slide it, make it a little longer. And I want to show you how you can put a title in and use a title. Now you can put a title underneath video and it will show. Like if I turn it on now and then, boop, my title comes up. To change that, just double click on it and you get into this window here. It's your title designer. You can simply highlight it, put on whatever you want. Now what I want to do here, I don't like this font or where it's at. I want to center it. I'm going to move it a little more center of the picture. And I'm going to change the font to something a little fancier than that. I like Century. And it's the size is a little big, so I could go over here and change the size where it says down to 22. And then when I get done with it, or I want it, you just tell it OK. Now, what I forgot is while you have this highlighted, you come up here and you could put an effect in it. Now, the starting effect, you have dozens to choose from. You know, there's these here where they'll come up. Or what I like to do is I like to fade the whole thing. So I'll fade it in and down at the bottom here, the ending effect. And I'll go down and find fade again. And then I want it to be on the screen for a while, so I'll come over here to the title designer at the bottom where the fade effect is in place, and I'll lengthen out the time it's on the screen right here. And then I'll tell it OK. So let's play that and see what it looks like. There's waterfall comes up. You notice that it's still out there. I didn't change the keyframes, even though I lengthened this. So what I'll have to do is go to keyframes and I'll look at these. This says 0. I'm going to take this one out. Remove keyframe. That one says 100. So I'll slide it over. And this one says 0. So what we've done is we've changed when it'll come on and when it will go off. And we can also lengthen this one here to coincide going off the screen when it starts to fade. you'll notice that there's a little line on your timeline here that runs all the way through it. That's where you are on the timeline. So we'll play that and see how it looks. Day's waterfall just fades in, and when we get to the end of the picture, it will fade off. And that's how you do keyframes. You can also change the opacity on this. I forgot to tell you that with keyframes also. Instead of having a 100% picture, maybe I only want a 48. If you move your cursor over, there's two arrows up and down right next to the number. Allows you to do fine adjustments. Okay, well, I'll show you what that looks like. Now you can brighten it up at the beginning and then darken it later if you want to. But that brings out the day's waterfall a little bit better. Now, if you wanted to brighten the beginning up, we'll move this down towards the end a little bit. And we'll put keyframes in again. Now, what we'll do is we'll take this keyframe, we'll say, okay, we're going to go to 100. And then you'll notice the red line on your timeline moves with this line back and forth. So right here, I'm going to make it a 48, or I'll make it 100, and then I'm going to slide over just a little bit and make it a 47, or 48, excuse me. 48, we have to go up one. Now, what that'll look like, now dim down, and there's my title, and then both of it, and it all runs away again. Go on to the next thing. Now you could shorten how long this is on simply by shortening it. And if you wanted to brighten that up, you put a keyframe in here and here. So we're going to trim that a little bit, and we're going to adjust the keyframes on this again. This is a 48. So I'll line it up with the end of my title, and then I'll just move a little ways forward and make it 100%, and then it will fade out to black. Perhaps we'll go a little bit longer on 100%. Let's take a look at that, see how that looks. There's 100%, now it goes down. There's the title. Title goes away. And you have a bright spot in there. You can lengthen this out. And you can look and see what your keyframes are doing by doing this. What I should probably do is make this 100%. a little sooner. And you'll notice down here that it changed this little dot. I'll move it down here and make it 100%. And then we'll fade to black. So, one more time. Oops. And hit stop. Get it back to the beginning. There we go. Now we brighten it. Now we have our title. And then we'll brighten it again. And then we'll fade to black. So that's how you do all the messing around with that, with keyframes. And I'll show you something else next time.